At the end of your life, you get to see all of your stats. What one do you want to see the most? How often the embarrassing thing I said that I couldn't stop thinking about for weeks was actually noticed? How many people I have genuinely helped versus how many people I genuinely hurt, which I never intended? This one may be superficial, but how many times strangers saw me in the street and thought I was pretty, but didn't tell me or were too shy to approach me? I would love to see which men I could have ended up with, LOL. How many murderers I was ever in the same building as? I don't know why exactly, but it kind of follows the theme of how many times I almost died and didn't know it, I guess. How many murderers I was ever in the same building as? I don't know why exactly, but it kind of follows the theme of how many times I almost died and didn't know it, I guess. Times I've almost evaded death. Whenever I think about this, it drives me nuts. Like, when someone dies in a car accident being hit by another driver, I think if they had just left work 20 seconds earlier, maybe someone stopped them on their way out of the office. That person was part of the actions that led to the death. And then there are the downstream effects. Say a person whose spouse was killed in that scenario marries someone else and has kids, and they have kids, and they're all a huge, wonderful family doing amazing things. None of it would have happened without that tragic death. And in my made-up scenario, that person who originally stopped them in the hall to chat on their way out of the office unknowingly caused it all. Itemized list of people who have masturbated thinking of me. Date of occurrence, all occurrences listed. Top 3 words. Top 3 exact spots to be while awake and not at work. Amount of socks I lost to laundry. I'd want to see the total hours spent laughing. Imagine sitting there, seeing that number and realizing all the times life was genuinely hilarious, even in the smallest moments. That'd be a sweet reminder of all the good times. My luck stat. Like, I've been stretching my head over this for some time now. I'm not lucky enough to win a lottery, but I know I've dodged some bullets in my life metaphorically. I think I'd be most curious to see how many lives I've positively impacted. Knowing that would make me feel like my time here really meant something. Since my answer was already said, here's another. So many people have said or done things that have become a long-running joke in my family or with my wife, or even just a funny story I like to tell. Random dude in a Florida Starbucks telling his date. So I woke up in Canada with "Welcome to the jungle" tattooed on my ass. I'm looking at you. And I want to know how many people I am that guy for. Like, I know it's at least a few, because I've caught myself saying and doing some wild shit. Like horribly failing a job interview by telling the interviewer that I was fired from my last job because I was accused of attempted murder, which is technically true and absolutely hilarious, I think, but I would really like to know. Things I was right about, things I was wrong about, and why lives I've made better itemized by moment people who thought about banging me with intention the times I had an accurate self-image, the things I never got an answer to in life, and their answers. Spent most of my time failing at life. I used to think the stats that matter were how many women I slept with and how much money I made. Now I think what matters most is how many PPL I have had a positive impact on. What song I listened to the most, how many plane trips I took and to where. Who did I have the most positive influence on? How many cumulative miles did I spend driving a car? What single person besides my parents and siblings did I spend the most time with overall? Of all the people I met who disliked me the most, and would I have time to make amends? I'm a teacher. I want to see how many lives I changed for the better, and even the ones for the negative. Sorry for those first few years, teaching is hard. I'd also like to see how many pounds gained and lost, as I've struggled with my weight my whole life. I would want to know how many people truly loved me. I hope the number is larger than I expect. I was cleaning my rifle in my apartment a few years ago. At one point, I pointed the rifle at the window and looked through the scope, and saw my neighbor outside across the street. I looked for a good 5 seconds before I lowered the rifle. He has no idea he was scoped still to this day. I couldn't help but to wonder, how many times have I been in someone's scope? That's a stat I'd like also. How many liters have I came in all my years of coming? Thank you for watching this video. Write your comments and don't forget to subscribe.